Okay, we have a nice long answer problem here regarding titration, acid, base, Ka, that kind of stuff. So let's take a look. Propanoic acid is a carboxylic acid that reacts with water according to the equation above. At 25 Celsius, the pH of a 50 milliliter sample of 0.20 molar propanoic acid is 2.79. So there's our given information. Now, first, identify a Bronsted-Lowry conjugate acid-base pair in the reaction. We want to label the acid and the base. So what is a Bronsted-Lowry conjugate acid-base pair? So a Bronsted-Lowry acid donates a proton and the base accepts the proton. So we're looking for species that differ in a single protonation state. So the difference of one proton, so that means clearly here is one. We've got one pair right there. And here's another, right? So, which is the acid, which is the base? Well, propanoic acid, as we might guess, is an acid, and it is acting as an acid here. It is donating a proton to water to become its conjugate base. So we can put conjugate base right there. So this is one conjugate acid-base pair. Acid becomes its conjugate base. That means if this is acting as an acid, this is an acid-base reaction. Water, in this case, must be acting as a base. It accepts a proton and becomes hydronium, which is its conjugate acid. So certainly we must be able to do this. We must be able to identify the acid-base pairs, conjugate acid-base pairs, and tell what is acting as an acid, what is acting as a base. So there's part A. Now determine the value for Ka, the value of Ka for propanoic acid at 25 degrees Celsius. So what is Ka? We're talking about an equilibrium. This is an acid-base equilibrium, and this is an equilibrium constant for that acid-base equilibrium. So just like any other equilibrium, we're looking at aqueous and gaseous species. So water will not be in there, but we're going to have CH3CH2COO minus times H3O plus, right? Because we do products on top, so that's these two. And there's no coefficients, so just we don't need any exponents there. And then on the bottom we have the reactant, the acid, CH3CH2COOH. So we first obviously have to be able to write a Ka expression. This is like any other equilibrium expression. This is how we do it, right? Products over reactants, and if there were coefficients here, those would become exponents there. Now, how do we get some numbers in here? So what are we given? Well, okay, we know that we have a pH of 2.79. So what is pH? pH is a measure of hydronium concentration, right? And so we know that right, pH is the negative log of the hydronium concentration. So if we want to get the hydronium concentration, we just do 10 to the negative pH, 10 to the negative 2.79, right? So there's all those equations that we need to know. We need to know that pH is negative log hydronium concentration, and then just the reverse. We need to be able to go from pH to hydronium concentration. So 10 to the negative pH is going to undo the operation in the other way. So that is 1.6 times 10 to the negative 3 molar. Right? So 1.6 times 10 to the negative 3 molar. Now, what we need to understand is that that is also going to be the concentration of the conjugate base of propanoic acid, because every time propanoic acid deprotonates, right, every time it gives a proton to a water molecule to get hydronium, it becomes its conjugate base. This is all 1 to 1 to 1 to 1, right? So for every hydronium, there is also one conjugate base. So this is the concentration for both of these. And then we started with 0.2 molar propanoic acid, right? So we started with 0.2 molar, and then we got some product. And so that's all we need. Up top, we're going to put 1.6 times 10 to the negative 3 molar, and we're going to square it, right? Because it's that number times that number again, so we just square it. And then on the bottom we put 0.20 molar, and that gives us 1.3 times 10 to the negative 5. So that is our Ka. So we had to do the Ka expression. Then we had to use the pH to get the hydronium concentration, recognize that the conjugate base concentration is the same, and then just plug in the initial concentration. Put them all in, and then put in your calculator, and we get our Ka. So that one's not too bad. Now, for each of the following statements, determine whether the statement is true or false. In each case, explain the reasoning that supports your answer. So, the pH of a solution prepared by mixing the 50 milliliter sample of 0.2 molar propanoic acid with a 50 milliliter sample of 0.2 molar NaOH is 7. So, what this is asking is if we have equal volumes of equal concentrations of this acid and this base, will they perfectly neutralize to give a solution that ends up having a pH of 7? Is it going to be perfectly neutral? So what we need to understand is that this neutralization does occur, right? And so all of the sodium hydroxide is going to react, right? It's a very strong base. And so we're going to get water molecules. Every time hydroxide gets a proton from propanoic acid, right? There's the exact same, or roughly exactly the same number of molecules of propanoic acid as sodium hydroxide, or formula units of sodium hydroxide. So every single hydroxide is going to pick up a proton from propanoic acid to give water. And that's neutral. But right here, what is this going to result in? Right? This will deprotonate completely because we're in the presence of strong base. Right? If it was in water, it wouldn't ionize completely, but we have strong base, so it will ionize completely, and we get this we get the conjugate base, right? We get the carboxylate anion. Now, whereas water is neutral, the carboxylate anion is weakly basic, right? So it will interact with water to some slight degree, and it is going to end up producing a little bit of hydroxide, right? So we had a weak acid with a strong base. The strong base will deprotonate the weak acid completely. So we don't have any acid in there anymore. All we have is water, and we have this the carboxylate. So all we have in solution is one weakly basic species. And that basic species will mean that the pH is greater than 7, right? Because some of these carboxylate anions are going to take protons from water to produce hydroxide. Not much because it's weak, but enough that the pH will not be neutral. It will be more than 7. So this one is false. Now, the second statement, if the pH of a hydrochloric acid solution is the same as the pH of a propanoic acid solution, then the molar concentration of the hydrochloric acid solution must be less than the molar concentration of the propanoic acid solution. So we have a hydrochloric acid solution and a propanoic acid solution, and they have the same pH, which means they have the same hydronium concentration. What does that tell us about their concentration, their molarity of those solutions? Well, let's think about it this way, right? HCl is a strong acid, so it will deprotonate completely. Right, so let's say we have 5 HCl's, right? That would yield 5 hydroniums, right? Because all of the HCl's will deprotonate, and they will protonate water molecules to give hydronium. Whereas if let's say we have 5 propanoic acids, that is a weak acid, so it will not deprotonate completely. It will not ionize completely. Let's say only 2 out of 5, right? Whatever it is, some proportion. It's less than all of them. Let's say we only get 2 hydroniums, right? We don't get all 5 because some of this does not ionize. So the propanoic acid is going to produce less hydronium. Therefore, in order for these two solutions to have the same pH, the hydrochloric acid solution must have a lower concentration, right? Because there is a point where it will have a low enough concentration that despite ionizing completely, it will still produce the same amount of hydronium as the propanoic acid solution, which only ionizes partially. But there's more of them. There's more propanoic acid molecules. So we end up getting the same number. So that is true. That is a true statement. Okay, we just have 2 more here that are part of the same thing. Now, a student is given the task of determining the concentration of a propanoic acid solution of unknown concentration. We're trying to find the concentration of the propanoic acid. That is the analyte. But we have 0.173 molar sodium hydroxide as a titrant. So we know the concentration of the titrant. We have 25 mils of propanoic acid. We're transferring that to clean dry flask. So 25 mils of our propanoic acid solution of unknown concentration, and then we use an indicator, and then we titrate with this sodium hydroxide, and we reach the endpoint after 20.52 mils of the base. So calculate the molarity of the propanoic acid solution. Totally straightforward titration calculation, nothing to it. This is exactly what we would do all the time. So first, so the logic here is when we reach the equivalence point, precisely enough titrant has been added to exactly neutralize the analyte, right? So that's giving us an idea of the moles in the analyte. We get the moles of the titrant, we get the moles of the analyte. So how are we going to get the moles of the titrant? So let's convert milliliters to liters, 0.02052 liters. And then we're going to multiply by 0.173 moles per liter, right? Liters are going to cancel. We're going to get the moles of base that we added. Now, these are 1-to-1 because propanoic acid is monoprotic. As we saw a moment ago, it can only donate 1 proton, and so we're 1-to-1 here. The moles of base at the equivalence point, the moles of base that we have added to get to the equivalence point equals the moles of acid in the solution. They're precisely neutralized. That's why the indicator it tells us what's going on. So if it's 1-to-1, we can just say 1 mole of acid over 1 mole of NaOH, right? So that's just, it doesn't change the number. We have to understand what we're doing when we do this calculation, right? And so that gives us 3.55 times 10 to the negative 3 moles of acid. So we got the moles of acid. Now we're almost done, right? We just need to take that, and we know the volume, right? This many moles over, it's 25 milliliters, so let's make it 0.025, and just put those zeros in there, liters, and we get 0.142 molar. So this is a very straightforward titration calculation. This is the essence of a titration. We must be able to do this. So we know the volume of a titrant that we added. We convert that to moles of titrant added. We use a stoichiometric ratio if that applies. Usually it's 1-to-1, sometimes it's not. So we make sure what that ratio is to go from moles of titrant to moles of analyte. And once we have moles of analyte, we know the volume, and we just do that. We do moles per liter to get the concentration, the previously unknown concentration of the analyte. So that's that. Then finally, the student is asked to redesign the experiment to determine the concentration of a butanoic acid solution. So very similar to propanoic acid, just one more carbon on the chain, instead of a propanoic acid solution. For butanoic acid, the value of its pKa is 4.83. Okay, the student claims that a different indicator will be required to determine the equivalence point of the titration accurately. We want an indicator that will be operative at a pH that is equal to the pKa of the analyte, right? And so, based on our response to part B, so that was earlier, do we agree with the student's claim? So, what is it talking about? In part B, remember we calculated the Ka of propanoic acid. That was part B. We got the Ka of propanoic acid. So, how do we get the pKa? We want to compare these two pKa's, propanoic acid, butanoic acid, see how much they differ. Well, remember just like pH, pKa, we're just taking the negative log of the Ka. So the Ka, if we recall, was 1.3 times 10 to the negative 5. And if we take the negative log of that number, we get 4.89. So 4.89, is that very different from 4.83? No, it is not. And in fact, that makes sense. Propanoic acid and butanoic acid, the functionality doesn't change. They're both carboxylic acids. There's not very much different about them. So we would not expect the pKa to change very much. And so the point is, we're going to disagree here. We're going to disagree. We're not going to need a different indicator because the pKa is almost the same. Whatever indicator is going to operate appropriately at that pH range for this titration, it's going to work just as well for butanoic acid too. So we're going to disagree with that, and this was an excellent long answer problem that was asking us about Bronsted-Lowry conjugate acid-base pairs, calculating Ka, doing a titration calculation, right? There's a lot going on with acid-base chemistry here. So this was a good one.